Hi, everyone. Trista McIver here of AMC NPO Solutions. I'm the program advisor and also the host of the Strategic Nonprofit. Today, we will be discussing ways to maintain your connections and support an NPO community. I've invited Gregory Ould on the podcast today. Him and his son Ben are co-founders of Blanket BC Society, a not-for-profit that helps shelters throughout BC by offering collected donations such as blankets, scarves, socks, hats, and gloves throughout the year. Also, in 2013, Ben was mentioned in the House of Commons as one of the youngest founders of a nonprofit in Canadian history. Thank you and welcome to the podcast, Gregory.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me. And unfortunately, I do wish Ben was here, but he couldn't make it today. He does send his regrets. However, he is studying. He's a very studious student at Mission Secondary, and he's got some exams and tests coming up that he finds very, very important. And as he wants to graduate this year and move on to become a doctor eventually. So he takes it very seriously, and so I respect that. But he does send his regrets. And I'm very excited to be here on your podcast.
Thank you. Can you tell us more about Blanket BC and your role there?
Sure. My role, I guess, I started the organization with my son 15 years ago, as a matter of fact, this past month. And it's a nonprofit organization that collects and distributes blankets and warm clothing for shelter programs and families in need. We raise awareness to homelessness, poverty, socioeconomic issues, while promoting volunteerism at a very young age. See, Ben was 22 months old when we started this organization. More of a father-son project than an organization at the time. And we just, wanted to do our best to help spread warmth around Vancouver and the Tri-Cities, because it's where we were living at the time. And at that time, there were over 200 individuals that were homeless in the Tri-Cities, which was astounding to me. I didn't realize there was that many homeless people living in my backyard and my front yard, and they're neighbors just like you and I. And so, yeah, it was an altruistic way of thinking, something that I never thought I would do in my lifetime. But I'm glad that we took those steps together as a father and son project. And of course, my daughter Emma, when she was born into it. As my new daughter Zoe, it's pretty exciting to be able to work hand in hand with kids at a very young age, because they can see the good, and you create that behavior very early on of altruistic thinking and just being kind. And it's not random kindness. It's everyday kindness. That's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, with kids and wanting to go in their parents' footsteps, it's not always the case. What do you think for Ben was the deciding factor of him to keep continuing this with you?
Well, I'd like to go back to the day that it started, really, October 15th, 2005. It was coming out of a movie theater in downtown Vancouver, Tinseltown, in fact, in Chinatown. And as I'm coming out of the theater, I see this gentleman in an alcove, and it was kind of like a day like today, where it's cold, but you don't think of it because you're dressed warmly. But when you're not wearing a whole lot of clothing and you're sitting on concrete, it's exceptionally cold. So our eyes met, and instead of me just kind of nodding and moving on, I went up to him, and I just asked him, "What can I do to help you?" And he simply said, "I can use a blanket to survive the night. And it was that survive the night portion of what he said to me that really caught my attention. And so I went out and I got him a blanket right around the corner. In fact, there was an Army and Navy, which is now closed, sadly. And I got him the warmest blanket I could, and I came back. He was still there. And when I gave it to him, there were no words exchanged, but there was a look of surprise, shock, and I think for the first time in his life, or at least in a very long time, someone took action upon his request. Someone listened to him. Someone cared enough to give him what he needed. And so I left with a feeling of gratitude, grateful that I was able to help. But it wasn't until I got home to my son, which was late at night, and he was up, as he was late at night. And so any opportunity you have to play with your kids, take it. Take that advantage, okay? Or take advantage of that opportunity. And so I did. And as we're playing, I started telling him the story about how I met that guy in the street and he gave him a blanket. It made me feel really good. But then I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if, you and I went out and handed out blankets to people who needed it the most? And kind of like Batman and Robin, where, of course, I'm Batman.
Of course.
And of course. And
I didn't doubt
but I
you.
said to him, well, I got a Robin story for you later. But I think it was really cool that his reaction was like, yeah, instead of being, fighting bad guys and stuff, we're fighting the cold, and we're fighting loneliness and homelessness, and we're helping people. And Ben just turned around with his blazing blue eyes, his big chubby cheeks, and said, yeah. And I'll never forget that day. And we've been collecting and distributing ever since. And to this day, we're creeping up to 500,000 blankets
that you have ready to go, or that you've given out over the years?
We've given out over the years.
Wow.
To date. So,
Wow.
and that's all, that's all from, the partnerships we've been able to procure over the years and really foster. Cable Linen Systems has always been a huge partner of ours. A lot of their ends or end of life stock normally went to the dump. And a gentleman by the name of Kevin McCalligan, who's no longer there, I was introduced to him, and he says, yeah, if you want blankets, we got blankets. We got lots of blankets. And it was like a huge scale of blankets, thousands and thousands, like tens of thousands. I think they've given us the majority of the blankets that we've collected over the years. And, over the past like 6-7 months, everything's kind of ceased because of this pandemic that we're in. But there's a new Kevin over at Cabro, and we're restarting the program again. And I'm very excited about that. Very excited about being able to hand out even more blankets, because I got a call this morning at 5 o'clock this morning from a gentleman in a van. He and his wife are in a van that's dead, but they have no heat, and they're living in it. And they were looking for blankets because it got super cold last night, and so it's those great folks that are surviving the streets as best they can, who we're really catering to, trying to help. So whenever we get blankets, those are the folks that we're helping out. It's not just people directly on the street, but trying to survive the streets, and indirectly in the shelters. Um,
Mhm.
156, in fact, 156 programs we have assisted over the years, and that's an incredible amount of organizations and companies and um, caring people, and like Lookout Foundation has been and will always be a phenomenal organization that helps get people off the street. And that program is run by my mentor, and a genius when it comes to just empathy. And yes, there's a genius for empathy. Because he, he takes empathy and just multiplies it, and then he creates this incredible synergy amongst everyone he's around. And his name is Shane Williams, and I just love him to bits. I think he's an absolutely fantastic human being, and I hope that we can at Blanket BC create something that's just as truly as powerful one day. So but it's folks like that, and folks at like BC Housing and Rain City Housing, and others that are community builders group, the folks like that who are the real heroes. We're just the deliveries. So the true heroes are the people who donate, and the people who take those donations after we give them, and then give them out to people on the street. We're just glorified delivery service.
Well, I
But
mean,
we
with your glorified delivery service, you've made a whole bunch of connections with these nonprofit organizations or people at different businesses that can help you. Can you give some tips to our listeners on how you've been able to do that and to maintain these relationships, partnerships?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm old school. I like to meet people. I like to be in the presence of people. I'm not a fan of emails, although they're good if you forgot something and you want to hunt something down. You can find, oh yes, okay, that's what I need to do. But I like talking to people. I like listening to people, and I like connecting with people on at eye level. Even though I'm much shorter than most people, if we sit down, we're usually eye to eye.
Exactly.
And a great tip. Side note: if you're ever angry, if you're having any arguments with anybody, both sit down and have that communication, because when you're at eye level, instead of one person up here, one person down there, it's an even playing field, and your heart rate actually automatically goes down. So that's just a little tip that I just learned recently, and not that I need it.
No.
It is important. It is important, but I think making those connections with people. So for me, it was really making those door-to-door calls. Now during the pandemic, it's been very tough. It's been exceptionally tough on Blanket BC, because I got to find another way. There's always that third way. There's always a third way. So you just have to look for those third ways. So.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, I know with the pandemic, it's been challenging for everyone, as you mentioned, and yourself included. But how do you keep your community members engaged? I mean, you said you went door to door. But what's your third? What did you say? Third door?
Third way.
Third way.
Third way.
Yeah. How are things been going? Oh, sorry. Just so to give tips to others out there, so that they don't feel that they're alone in this as well. And I'm sure that they know.
Yeah. I was essentially shut down, and due to for safety protocols. we're dealing with blankets and we're dealing directly with, human touching really. And so, and it's really unfortunate because it's kind of devastated us, not only financially, but physically, and emotionally. It's, I have a new board of directors, and which is a new breath of fresh air, to be honest with you. And I feel like we've been on a treadmill for the longest time, not getting anywhere. So with this new group of folks, and I've actually stepped down as the chairperson. So Christina Wiseman is the new chairperson, and I'm very excited because she was actually on my first board of directors, and so she's back, and she's just a wondrous human being, absolutely wondrous. I've known her for almost 18 years, and I absolutely adore her and her family and her daughter, and she just brings in this fresh, breath of fresh air, and this new spirit. And we're very succinct on the way we think. And a couple of new board members, Marty O'Hara, who, like me, loves beer and football and other sports, and cares so much for community and helping people. And Courtney Funk is again scholastic in thinking, just very or academic in thinking, and scholastically driven. She's going through her I think MBA or master's. I'm not sure, maybe doctorate. She'll probably have a doctorate by the end of the week. Who knows? Very smart person. And we're still rebuilding. We're at that rebuild part of Blanket BC because the pandemic can be devastating, but it could also open doors that you didn't know existed. And my advice to everybody, would be, and believe me, most nonprofits have security somehow. They may have had to lay off here and there, but they'll be able to get that back. They've been able to get emergency funding. Our organization hasn't. I'm personally financially putting everything putting everything up right now, because I don't want it to falter, and I don't want to stop, because if we stop, the potential of someone dying could be there, and then that would be on my conscience for the rest of my life, and I can't have that. And that may be selfishly thinking, but at the same time, I know that we'll be back on our feet again, and hopefully we'll be able to get some sponsors that will be able to financially help us out, because we've always been really concentrating on the blankets and not the financial. But operating a nonprofit is very costly, even though we are, I like to say, as frugal of an organization as can be. Like, if we don't need it, we don't get it, period. Or if we can get it for free, we ask. In fact, I think I ask for everything for free, everything. And a lot of people are like, well, what's in it for me? I don't know. You'll feel good. Whatever happened to that? I'll throw your name on my website. We actually do a lot for our partners, actually, to be honest with you. You're asking earlier about
yeah, sorry, just bring you back.
Yeah, I was just kind of wanted to bring you back. Okay. Well, the one thing I like to give back, and what I think people really need to remember is give back gratitude. Show them gratitude. Show the folks that have been helping you out for, that you're grateful. There's a couple of organizations that that we've had great partnerships in the past with, and I've kind of let that gratitude subside a little bit. And it's not that I'm not grateful. It's just I got busy thinking of other things. And I remember one organization asked me, "Well, what's in it for us? What have you done for us?" And I thought that was kind of like, well, where the huh? I was confused. I was like really taken back. I thought it was actually rude, number one, but I got it afterwards. I'm like, well, yeah, I've kind of let go my gratitude towards you, and I haven't said thank you. I mean, even a card,
Mhm.
once in a while, would renew their faith and your gratitude towards them, and they would continue, helping you out without thought. But if you stop talking about them, or if you just forget about them altogether, or you just take them for granted a little bit, then your relationship will sour. So just going back to relationships and building, that's something that I've learned over the past year. And and working aboard is not the easiest thing to do when you, being me, is very passionate. I have goals in mind, and if I don't see that those goals are being met, then I get pissed. I get angry, and I'm old school. I'm not a PC kind of guy. Never have been. I try to be, politically correct, but it's just not, what I grew up. So it's a learning opportunity for me for sure. But I'm the kind of person that you either love me or you, ugh, that guy. Yeah.
Well,
It's like,
well,
oh,
I
Greg's in
think
the
you're a great
room. Oh no,
well, that guy. So,
that
just touching
guy.
on what you were saying about giving gratitude. So we did a podcast earlier this year, or actually probably a few months ago, about friend raising. And
Yes,
I
I watched that podcast actually. Pretty good.
exactly, and I think that's what you're getting at. It's that you don't what you need to do is build friendships opposed to just, hey, do you have any funds for me, or whatever it is, people want to have value in
Yes,
what they donate, and feel, obviously feel good about themselves. And I mean, it definitely depends on the organization that you're looking to have support you, but also, yeah, building those relationships, and absolutely, like, the gratitude.
hmm,
Absolutely. I think that's very, very important, and that's really neat that I think even through this pandemic, that's something that you've come to learn, right?
very much so.
Yeah,
Very
awesome.
much so.
Great.
And I'm gonna approach organizations a little differently now, but kind of like the way, that old school mentality of greeting people face to face, even though I'm wearing a mask. And I always have I always have my favorite mask with me because it's
Oh, that's
important. You want to keep
like,
your
yeah.
friends.
You should say,
You
"Wanna
want to
be
be
my friend? Wanna
Want to be my friend? Yeah. I am looking. We are looking for, if anyone's watching, someone who could sponsor, you know, or help us produce these for Blanket BC. So we would have our logo and then like spread the warmth, not the flu type
Right,
deal.
yeah, yeah, let's
Um,
spread something else." So do you
Quick
have
plug for those listening out there who have
yeah,
masks.
right.
They want to. We're not asking for like 1,000 of them. We're just asking for maybe 50
Right, right, yeah, for everybody to help out.
or
So,
200.
so I know you've given a little bit of advice, earlier. Is there anything else that you would find would be a very, uh, important piece of advice for somebody that's starting up a not-for-profit, or that's, affected by this pandemic,
Yeah.
such as you? What would you say would be something that you'd like to share?
passionate. Put your heart and soul into it. Don't do anything half-assed. If you're only halfway in, you're only going to have the results, right? So you put in 100% in, you're going to get 100% results. That's just the bottom line. And for every no you get, this is a sales thing that when I started Blanket BC, I was working for Bell at the time, and Vicky Ursaki and Marcus Fromm were my managers, and hi to those guys because they're awesome people. They taught me all about salesmanship, and you whether you're in a nonprofit organization or not, you're still selling something, right? Mm-hmm. You're selling yourself, right? And you're first and foremost, you're selling yourself, and so don't sell yourself short. You accept the no's, because for every no you get, you're closer to a yes. That's the biggest and most important value and learning opportunity I've had in the past 15 years. And so I'm not afraid of getting shut down. I was an actor for 23 years. I'm used to people saying, you're great, but you're too short.
Oh,
yeah. I had really great hair back then. Believe it or not, I had beautiful head of hair. Now I shave it just because it's simpler and cheaper. Remember? And I've got a thick skin, so I don't mind the nose. But if like nose, don't get into nonprofit. Don't even get into sales. You you have got to accept the no's and accept them graciously, and ask, well, if you can't help out, do you know anybody who could? It's simple. And if they tell you to pound sand, you say, thank you, I will. And then I'll throw some back at you. Don't throw sand.
Don't throw sand. It can get in your eyes and
yeah, hair if you had some.
Maybe some compliment. So was there anything else that you wanted to share that maybe I missed to share with our viewers?
Just on a personal scale, I think that I know I've come a long way in the 15 years. We've been able to celebrate some amazing and monumental things over the years. We're not a huge award-winning organization, but we've won a few. Ben and I won the Humanitarian of the Year award through the BCCMAs, British Columbia Company Association, a few years back, and then we were honored by the Kwantlen First Nation in a button blanket ceremony for me, Ben, and my daughter Emma, and that was a really, really big deal. They also gave a special blanket to my dad, who had just suffered a stroke back then, and who's come back 100%. Blanket BC has taken a toll on my life, though, like good and bad. Got divorced and recently got married, and just got back from my honeymoon, in fact. And 3 months ago, we had a baby girl, Zoe, who loves blankets. I mean, she likes eating them. I think that's a good thing.
Start, yeah.
She's
So how can our listeners learn more about Blanket BC?
Really by going to the website and just giving me a call. I do want to apologize to a lot of the folks out there, especially our blanketeers and warmth warriors, which are the kids, for having to postpone Blanket BC's Drive on the Line, which would have been our 12th event this year, or 12th annual event. And we've had to postpone it for COVID. But we're going to hopefully do a virtual drive in a line online. So we'll play on words and hopefully raise 15,000 or more dollars in order to get us through to next year. And again, I just want to say to everybody, stay connected, make those phone calls, send a little text, throw in a LinkedIn message if you're watching LinkedIn or you're big into LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever. Just stay connected. We could. I know everyone's saying socially distant, physically distant, yes, but socially, you should not be distant from anybody. You should be making those calls and even pick up a pen and a pad of paper and write. I know it's old school thinking. I'm not talking old quills, okay? I'm talking a pen, paper, write, lick, pop it in the post office, and a few days later, someone's going to open that and go, wow, they took time to write when they could have just called. My God, you could have just texted me those messages. The way a lot of people think nowadays, but
yeah, well,
I recently got a little card from my my aunt and uncle from Edmonton, and who I hadn't heard from in like forever and a day, and it was absolutely just lovely to have a message of hey, congratulations on everything. Sorry I've been distant, but I wanted to let you know you're in our thoughts and prayers, and we love you. And that made me feel really, really good. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. It's a personal goal of mine, just to reconnect with people and let people know that they're loved. Like I love everyone on all my board members, all our blanketeers, my family, Ben, Emma, Zoe, Famika, everybody. I think what you guys do is absolutely fantastic, and it's actually really great to talk about nonprofit organizations and the do's and the don'ts and the how-tos, because some people just don't know how. I have a friend of mine down in the States that just started his own nonprofit organization, and I couldn't be more proud of him because he worked with us, and I would hope that he learned a little bit from me and from the organization and the skills that he's been able to work on and I'm at a loss of words, but perfect. And now he's got his own nonprofit down in the States, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. So there is a little bit of good that Blanket BC has done besides spread warmth, which we are going to continue to do today. Actually, it's 0 degrees, and we're going to go as a family and drop off some blankets and then hit the pumpkin patch.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks, Trista. Thank you very much. And thanks to all the viewers out there and listeners. And just hashtag spread the warmth.
Spread the warmth. Thanks, Greg. Chat with you soon. I've invited today Gregory Ould, not his son because he didn't show up, on the podcast today. I'll do it again. I've invited Gregory
show up. You would like us, unless you would like us to pick them up, because I would love to. I like picking them up as well. So
okay, well, it's Vancouver though. You're all the way out in Abbotsford, aren't you?
Not anymore. We just moved to Richmond.
Oh, you're really close now.
Oh my God!